allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Don't see anyone for public participation online or in the audience here, so we'll get right into it. We'll be going through a bunch of budgets tonight. The first one is HR, and we have Joanne Faustus, great. And do we have a report from the subcommittee?
We do, Mr. Chairman. Thanks, Joanne. We went with Joanne and went over her,
Hey Dave, pull the microphone up to you, just so make sure.
so we went through the budget with Joanne. This is a very straightforward budget. As I'll say each year, it's amazing how much work gets done in a department of two people that manages the personnel for the town, both school and government. So she does a wonderful job. But you'll see in the budget, it's salaries are in effect no change to that. Joanne's salary as director is split between the schools and the government. 60% picked up by the government side and 40% picked up by the school side, but that part is level funded. The expense line items have only changed $810, a little bit in melt due a small increase and a membership to the Northeast HR Association for $500. So there's very, very little going up. It's basically level funded. We did go over a lot of the, the MELT categories and the staff training to each line item, which we've talked about before. Job postings went up slightly, but that's just the cost of advertising and what have you, and through the various sources that we discussed on how we attract candidates. But subcommittee voted 2-0 in favor of supporting budget.
Thank you. Would you like to add anything to that?
No, very well done. Thank you so much. I am really grateful for the training opportunities that we were able to bring in this year through our current budget. We've had some really nice department head trainings and universal trainings and opportunities to send our staff to some, really well-run municipal trainings as well. So that was a huge help, and I really appreciate that. This year, we really don't have much change except for a few slight increases in the general cost of doing business, with going to conferences, workshops, memberships, and job advertising costs, but that's really about it.
Okay. Do we have questions? Roger.
Since this is the first, and there was no increase in the salaries item, I have to ask, is this a year in which there will later be a professional and supervisory increase that comes in later?
It's not part of the union. It's level funded with the negotiated settlements area will be then distributed once that's decided.
All right. And then, what's my other question? No, that's it. Looks good. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, motion to approve.
Second?
Thank you. All right, go ahead,
All
Roger.
right, just a quick comment. I noticed Steve's hand is up.
Steve, I'm sorry, I missed your hand.
His hand has been up.
Is your hand stuck up, Steve?
Are you stuck up, Steve?
I'm going to phrase that differently.
We're going to reword that.
Yeah. Don't put that in the minutes. All right.
Don't get 2 votes.
We'll be doing roll calls since we have someone remote here. All right, let me get the spreadsheet up here. This is for the HR budget account 152 for $188,333. Brad?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Chris?
Yay.
Mike?
Yes.
There you are. Frank?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Megan?
Yes.
Rob?
Yes.
Roger?
Yes.
Sonia?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. That's 11-0
by one here. No, 1200, thank you. All right, thank you, Joanne.
Thank you so much.
Next, we have Conservation, which is account 171. And we have John Keeley with us. Do we have a subcommittee report?
Yes, we do.
Excellent.
So, stepping through the budget, full-time salaries are down, and to Roger's point, this line item does not reflect something to negotiate settlements this year, but it's actually down because last year's budget carried, I'm gonna get the name wrong again, the transitional advisor stipend. So that's no longer, that will not be there next year. Now, the big change to this budget, you'll see a plus 160% on part-time, but minus 90% down on special accounts. The salaries that were previously reported under special accounts have been moved up to part-time, and there is a bit of an increase on those salaries. So there's a move and an increase, and the increase is from minimum wage being increased, and the department is also planning to finally fully staff the string cleaning summer crew with 4 people this year. And with all that movement, and again, that's a bump of about $5,000 or so
Right.
At the end of the day. So the budget request is for $319,921. That's an increase, total increase of $2,864 or 0.9%. And as the end of the report, the Town Hall 2 Subcommittee wishes John Keeley well in his upcoming retirement. And we vote 2-0 to support.
Thank you. Would you like to add to that, John?
Once again, a great job. So I just figured for as long as I've been here, and actually before I was here, we were paying stream cleaners and part-time help out of the special accounts, land management and stream cleaning. So it would just sort of made sense to move them out and put them in the part-time salaries. So those accounts are just for materials, supplies, gasoline, and that sort of thing. And then their wages will come out of the part-time. The stream cleaning we did, but we haven't increased it for years. As Brad said, the annual, I mean, their salaries, their wages have gone up, gasoline's gone up, materials have gone up. We've had trouble staffing it since COVID, and last summer was the first time we actually got a full crew, so we've been managing despite the fact that the minimum wage went up to fund it. But now, hopefully, we'll be able to get full crews now that COVID's in the rearview mirror.
Excellent. Do we have questions?
Chairman, motion to approve.
Oh, Steve has his hand up. Is that up for real this time, Steve?
Yeah, and I'll put it down when I'm done. Just a quick question, what was the minimum wage increase, the hourly rate change?
I don't remember exactly, but it's over $15 an hour. $15.50 now.
Okay,
when
do you
we-
remember what the previous one was?
Since the last time we increased it, I think it was down around 10 or 11. It's been several years since we've increased the stream cleaning budget.
And is that the Mass State minimum wage, or is that a bit higher?
That's the state minimum wage.
So
Right.
ironically, I don't think towns are subject to the state minimum wage. It's just something we need to keep up with to be competitive, I believe.
Right.
Great, thank you.
Okay. Anything else?
My motion's on the floor, Mr.
Second.
Thank you. All right, this is for conservation budget of $319,921. Brad?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Frank?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Megan?
Yes.
Rob?
Yes.
Roger?
Yes.
Sonia?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, that's 12-0-0. Thank you very much,
Thank you very
John.
much.
Congratulations.
Thanks, John.
Congratulations, John.
We'll miss you.
All right, Our next budget is the assessors, account 141, and we have Paul Tierney with us. And what's our subcommittee report, please, David?
So this budget is at 465,741. It's a decrease in the budget of 4.31%. Salaries are down 7.49%, and that basically works out to a hiring within, a retirement within the department, a lower level clerk position moving up to fill that role, and then hiring the new person below. So basically, the salary structure has been reduced, and that's reflected in the salary line item. Expenses are all flat except for the Patriot software license. Again, this was a 10-year contract that we're in the 7th year of. So you're going to see the software license updates, periodic changes, but the annual contract amount is staying similar. All other expenses remain the same. Again, remember a few years ago, we took the commercial side of the assessing out of Patriot, and we have a support person within the group that handles our commercial, with Patriot still handling the residential side. Pretty straightforward. Subcommittee voted 2-0 in favor.
Thank you. Paul, would you like to add to that?
Sorry?
Hey, would you like to add to that?
No, Dave pretty much covered it. I really don't have a whole lot to add. It's pretty straightforward, so.
That's what we like. All right. Any questions for assessor?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Thank you. All right.
It's feisty on this side.
This is for the assessor's budget of $465,741. Brad?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Frank?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Megan?
Yes.
Rob?
Yes.
Roger?
Yes.
Sonia?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. That's 12-0-0. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Paul.
Have a good night.
All right, next we have the sealer of weights and measures, which is account 244. Do we have a report, Brad? Excellent.
So as the committee may recall, we've gone from an old model to a new model where we're sharing sharing a position with, we've hired someone and we're sharing this person's salary with Lexington. We pay 60% of the salary, Lexington pays 40%. This year, that amount comes to $17,269. There is so that will be covering the entire salary, so that's an increase of $421 or 2.5%. There is a revolving account with around $20,000 in the mix. We're not using that towards salary, we're using that purely toward equipment at the moment. That's all we have. Subcommittee voted 2-0 to support.
Excellent. And we have Town Administrator, Assistant Town Administrator Paul Sagarino and John Denizio with us. Would you guys like to add to that?
That was a great summary. I guess the only thing I would add is the 60-40 split was sort of based upon the number of devices that need to be sealed in each town, and that's sort of really the fairest way to sort of work out how much work is in each individual community, so.
Is this a benefited position or?
No, it is not.
No benefit, okay.
18 hours total week.
It's like part-time.
Just wanted to make sure. Okay. Any questions? Frank?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just one, it's a bookkeeping thing, and maybe I just don't see it, but if you look at the main explanation page, salary, everything is 0%, but the grand total is 2.5%. What am I missing?
Spreadsheet's not.
Yeah, it's probably just that one cell isn't
Okay.
typed in.
All right, so the increase is probably in the salary line, right?
It is, there's no other budget.
All right, so there's just a typo there. Okay, thank you.
Make a note, John.
Good point.
Yeah, well, it won't affect the vote, I don't
Already
believe.
planning on blaming Sam, so.
Right.
But just to be clear, it does not affect the 17,269?
Correct. The 17,269 is 2.5% above last year's.
Yeah, okay,
The only
thank you.
change we made was a small increase in the salary. Yep.
Detailed, thank you.
Right, the mistake is on the total salary line, that should also say 2.5.
Yeah. I did read it,
Move to
just
approve?
now.
Well done.
Move to approve?
Second.
Thank you. All right, no one had any questions on that, right? Okay. All right, this is CR Weights and Measures budget for $17,269. Brad?
Yes?
Doug?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Frank?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Oh, thank you. Megan?
Yes.
Rob?
Yes.
Roger?
Yes.
Sonia?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, that's 12-0-0. Just for clarity, when I say Chris, that means Chris Delaney because we only have one Chris here tonight. Our next budget is legal, account 151. Do we have a report, David?
Yes, we do. Yeah, this is level funded at 202,000. It's the number that I've been used to since I can remember. It's a tough category to gauge in the various columns, but again, it seems to be the number that's worked over the period of time, and better to be on that side than looking for money down the road. So legal fees is the general legal fees for our general counsel. The labor collective bargaining, even though we have signed contracts, that also includes employee grievances or anything that's employee related, gets taken out of that area. Tax title, you might see it has a negative number in there. Again, you have reimbursements when you collect on those tax titles, so, but that's only 3,500. So overall, level funded, number seems to work. Subcommittee voted 2-0 to support it.
Brad?
Thank you. I see there's money in the cable TV negotiation line item. I thought all those contracts were completed. Do you expect usage for that money?
We just completed the most recent one. Was that the Verizon?
Yep.
We just finished a Verizon one, and I don't believe we have the invoice from the attorney on that one yet for this current year's work.
Okay, all right, thank you.
I'm sorry, I didn't give you guys a chance to add to that if you wanted to.
The only thing I would add, Mr. Chairman, that number's been fairly consistent over the years. The budget hasn't moved much. It seems to be enough, as previously stated by David. Legal's sort of unpredictable, and it's, driven by things that we don't know are going to happen yet. So it seems to have worked for us over the years, so we're comfortable with that number going forward.
Okay, great. Any additional questions? Frank?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Even though I'm on the subcommittee, I didn't ask this before, Paul, it's simple, but, so the abatement work, like, say Macy's, for example, any fees that are there, do they come out of this account?
The Assessors Department has a couple of warrant articles that town meeting appropriated for their
For this.
ATB defense
Yeah, okay, that's fine.
attorneys and
Yeah.
and specialists that they use there.
I just wanted to double check on that, thank you.
David?
Just to follow up on that, again, I'm on the subcommittee. I feel like this is a subcommittee meeting.
Anyone else got any questions?
That was specific to Macy's, where we had a set dollar amount, it was a larger amount. Other ones that we're in communication with, does that come on under the overlay account and is paid out of that, or? is there a separate-
Not on the legal. So I believe that the warrant articles, I'd have to check the language on it. I do believe it was described as primarily for Macy's. As we previously stated, the Board of Assessors does a great job, so they don't have a lot of challenges that go to court on their values. So it's primarily been used for Macy's, but I think historically, the account has been described as ATB, legal defense in general, for when they go to court. So they use the warrant article to fund the larger stuff there.
Do you want to go again, Frank? or-
No.
Rob?
At the library, we always have legal problems because it's a library and it's public.
Okay.
Is that, when we call the lawyer, does that come out of this?
Yes, it does. For all departments, schools use a lot of their own legal, but the budget is administered through my office, so if a department needs legal help, they usually just give me a heads up, and then we connect with town council on the issue. But yes, I talked to Mike today about a legal issue, so.
Library?
What?
Okay, no, never mind.
The library's a hotbed of legal activity.
Yes,
They're always causing trouble.
because it's a public space.
Say, okay, it's just one. All right.
I think the fact that we don't hear about it is probably a good thing.
Yes. Usually it's something simple. Usually.
Move to approve?
Second.
Thank you.
Who knew?
All right. Brad, I'm sorry, this is for legal for $202,000. Brad?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Frank?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Megan?
Yes.
Rob?
Yes.
Roger?
Yes.
Sonia?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, that's 12-0-0. Next, we have the Select Board / Town Administrator, account 122. Sub-report, David?
So this number's at 999, 985, or a 4.3% changes, change from last year. There is no change to head count. All of the salary increases are due to contractual obligations. This budget also includes the Economic Development Director and expenses that come in that department. It has not been separated, so it is one. And balancing kind of, we had a lot of discussion on this, and balancing what the right expenses are for this department, very important area for us in promoting the town, especially with everything that's going on. So there were some additional expense requests made through the area. They feel they can obtain other funding sources. So there is a $6,000 increase to that area for increased visibility and effect through various things. But there's going to be other needs, but those needs feel like they can have those covered. As this is a relatively new position, still in the town, but again, critical to us moving forward. So in talking through them all, we were comfortable with that number. Some memberships did increase slightly, but miscellaneous remained the same, including, again, employee recognition, other things that we've seen before. Subcommittee go to 2-0.
You guys like that to that?
I have nothing further. I think that was a great summary.
Okay,
Chair.
great. Any questions? Roger?
Given a couple of things dropped, I gotta ask, so there's no need for overtime or part-time anymore?
So both those lines were used for the recording and minute taking, and that was just added into that person's salary line on the stipend line.
Great, thanks.
Just a detail item, the town administrator, assistant town administrator don't have the little footnote saying they're A&P. I assume they are though, right?
No. Individual employment contract.
Oh, that's,
They're
okay.
the only two
All
that
right.
aren't, actually,
Okay, good to know. All right,
I think.
It-
No? Right. Everyone else
Two in
is
the rest of the
A&P.
town.
Oh, no, I thought he.
Yeah, I worded it poorly. Yeah.
I got one question.
Chris?
Just out of curiosity, how many full-time employees do you have?
In the whole town?
Well, no, on this line, it's just the salaries, full-time,
Oh, 7.
7, okay.
Additional questions?
Ah, it's on the next page. Thank you. Thank you, Roger.
Motion to approve, Mr. Chair.
Second?
Thank you. All right, this is for the Select Board Town Administrator budget of $999,985,
Cheap, less than $1 million.
less than $1 million.
How hard did it work to get that last 15
Not for long. Not for long.
We'll see how it looks next year, exactly.
Say it goes next year.
Brad,
Yes.
Doug,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Frank,
Yes?
Steve,
Yes.
Megan,
Yes.
Rob,
Yes.
Roger,
Yes.
Sonia,
Yes.
David.
Yes.
Chair votes yes, that's 12-0-0. Next, we have accounting, which is Department 135, and we have Julian Dellis Reyes with us. Do we have a report on that, David?
We do. Again, 517,615, it's a 3.1% increase. All of the salary items are, again, contractual. For the changes and the expenses, including melt and materials and supply, are all at the level funded. So really, there's not a lot to talk about. Frank did get into each individual job responsibility.
A little bit, yeah.
It's good to kind of learn a little bit more about, but it's, again, contractual with the department. Subcommittee voted 2-0.
Great, thank you. Julian, would you like to add to that?
Thanks to David and Frank, that's a great summary. And then our budget is very straightforward. And then I don't have anything else to add on it.
Okay. Do we have questions?
Just one simple one. Are we between budget directors, or has that position been refilled, or am I just confused about the state of things?
Technically between budget directors.
Okay, great.
So that's an open position at the
Getting
moment.
closer.
Excellent.
Mr. Chairman, motion to approve. Second.
Thank you. This is for the accounting budget of $517,615. Brad?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Frank?
Yes?
Steve?
Yes.
Megan?
Yes.
Rob?
Yes.
Roger?
Yes.
Sonia?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, that's 12-0-0. Thank you, Julie.
Thank you.
All right, next is other legislative, account 119. Do we have a report, David?
We do. 11,017. This is a level funded budget. It is for all of the various reporting secretaries, where the departments themselves don't carry that line. So, including Ways and Means. It also includes the moderator's stipend of $150. So, level funded, it seems to be the right numbers that have worked over the last year. So, subcommittee voted 2-0 support.
Great. Would administration like to add to that?
No, sir.
Very good. Well said. Do we have questions? Brad?
And what's the 373 for materials and supplies?
I guess there are some special items that were.
Yeah, it used to be for Ways and Means for binders and stuff like that, but I think now it's more, if any group needs stuff that isn't in our general supplies budget, jackets for packets or specialized, anything like that. I don't think haven't spent any more than.
It used to be a
last
Ways
year.
and Means expense budget, back when this was primarily the Ways and Means budget.
We never got our name tags.
Oh, we've got $373 we can get that with.
373?
We'll get one a year for the next 17 years.
I have to ask, is the Ways and Means budget particularly high because it's like spare in case others run over or something, or what?
I think it had to do with the amount of meetings when they were originally set was how many meetings they had and how many hours the meetings were.
Okay.
This is probably back at the 12 o'clock hour.
So, I looked at that a little bit, John, but we talked about it.
Right.
We could adjust it down, it's a small amount of money, I'll leave that to the discretion of the chair going forward, maybe.
It seems like good margin to have to
Yeah.
cover everything if you need to move it around or something. So. But yeah, we really don't come close to spending that, which is a good thing.
Right.
We should.
Move to approve?
Second.
Excellent. All right, this is other legislative budget of $11,017. Brad?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Frank?
Yes?
Steve?
Yes.
Megan?
Yes.
Rob?
Yes.
Roger?
Yes.
Sonia?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
And chair votes yes, that's 12-0-0. All right. Oops, let me go over here. There we go. Okay, great. I think that gets us through our budgets. I put an item on here, debt update, which I'll modify to be debt and programs update, just as a standing item for a number of weeks. Would Town Hall 1 like to give an update on where the process stands on our debt?
Sure. David and I and yourself, John, and Roger, Ed Parsons, a number of us been meeting over the period of about, well, this is a little bit of history that you know, but it puts context on it, for, I don't know, a month and a half or so. And what we were trying to do, what we are doing, is putting together a more comprehensive set of spreadsheets that tie together all of the things that sort of merge around the debt schedule. So it's capital budget, it's the accommodated account for the debt service, and then we tie into that what it does to the taxes needed to support the debt schedule as you roll it through, say, 20 years. So John and his office have been doing a lot of work driven off of a template that we gave them some ideas just to get it started a month and a half, 2 months ago. And they now have a pretty good working draft of a very comprehensive collection of tied-together spreadsheets that roll up into a couple of summary documents that give you a bird's-eye view of what the debt service looks like year on year, depending on when you start all the known projects. So there's all the committed ones, there's all the anticipated with visibility ones, and you can play with it with and without debt exclusion if you care, but that won't affect the cost. It won't affect what you have to pay to fund these projects. So we're really looking at timing, spacing, aggregate hits to the levy, and the percentage of the operating budget that all of this consumes. As you know, we've been a very modest, extremely modest capital expense and debt service over recent history in terms of the percentage of the budget. It's been down around like 4% or something, I think. So when we layer into this some really big things, two of them that are imminent, police station at around 45 million, an elementary school which will come in around after reimbursements, is it 58?
No, it's higher than that. It's like 62.
52, yeah, I forgot. Yeah, so anyway, we're gonna layer in with the MSBA reimbursement, the Fox Hill Elementary, which, by the way, has gotten its first vote, I think, as of today, from MSBA. So that's tracking quite strongly. Both of these look like they'll come to a vote to town meeting fairly soon. I think the police are scheduled for May. Fox Hill may come up in September for financing. So all of this is rolled into here, and what we're trying to do is get a picture of what are we really in for tax increases, how do we level it, how might we use free cash, what's it gonna do to the accommodated account in terms of the percentage of the whole budget. They're going to plan to present this document and what it says in a future meeting here, probably in two more meetings out, something like that. And you'll all get a chance to play with it. I think it's a great piece of work. A lot of this Some people have known bits and pieces of this right along. They keep track of it all the time. What's changed, and it's really changed, is that we're building out a lot of infrastructure that we have not had to deal with for so long. Most people, probably half a town meeting has never been confronted with this, and Ways and Means has never had to really deal with these kinds of large expenses that pile up. We're looking at debt service in the, all in the 20-year range, all at 5% interest, and the total of these two projects is 60 is like $100 and something million. So it's a very big hit to the schedule, and we're going to manage it, and we're going to use this as a tool. So that's where we're at. John, you've done a lot on this too, and these guys might want to say something.
Yeah, would you guys like to add to that at all? Or?
Just to add to what Frank said, I think what's really been unprecedented is the construction cost increase over the past few years. Not sure if anyone would have predicted that in conjunction with the pandemic, but I think we had the police station budgeted around $20 million. There was 30-something million in for a Fox Hill. Woburn built a school for $36 million 5 years ago, the same size as the one that we're going to build, and that's now a $100 million total school with 62, 67, depending upon what you say on the town side. So I know it's easy to beat ourselves up over it, but I'm not sure if anybody could have planned for construction cost increases like that in such a short period of time, and I think we can manage it. And if we're smart with it, we can afford these projects over time, and we need to continue to invest in the town's infrastructure. We've done a great job of funding operating budgets, but eventually, employees do provide the services, teachers teach the children, police protect us in the streets, but eventually, we have to make some investments in the actual infrastructure that the teachers teach in and the police officers work in. So I'm happy to see both the projects moving forward, and looking forward to working with the committee to figure out how we're going to make this work for the departments and the taxpayers of the town. So
Great. So Frank touched on this. Roger's our representative on Fox Hill Building Committee. Would you like to give us a little update of where things are there?
Well, I think Frank mentioned that the MSBA approved the plan to date and to move forward today as just a formal vote. The discussions between the architect and MSBA have been very productive. The design's coming together. It's on the Fox Hill. It's on the website, but it continues. This place, they're doing the detailed design, and this part of the project runs through June before there'll be, sort of final designs. And then the next MSBA involvement is in August, when we'll have to come up with what they call a funding agreement between the town and the MSBA, and MSBA will vote on that in August. And that starts the time in earnest when the town of Burlington needs to figure out, how to pay for it.
All right, and that August vote is when MSBA officially says, yes, we will help you out on this.
Here's the amounts and the conditions under which we'll fund the project.
And then we have 120 days to fund it?
There's 120 days for the town to go through its processes to do the
bonding.
The bonding. Actually, not to do the bonding, to do the authorization.
Yes.
For town meeting to do the authorization. Just one other comment to stack on Frank's is so we've been talking earlier about this year's operating budget. Most of those projects will have very little impact on the 24-25 operating budget. All the impacts with respect to bonding and paying interest, et cetera, will hit future budgets spread out over several years. So there's no impact on this budget that we're talking about now. Maybe not none. We will end up borrowing some money, I assume, to get shovels in the ground, but we're not quite there yet.
Great, thanks, Roger. I didn't give Doug a heads up, so I'll surprise him on this one. Doug is our representative on the high school building committee. Where do we stand with things there, Doug?
So the schools have picked an OPM. That was a couple of months ago, and with the help of the OPM, we have now interviewed and chosen a design team and architect, and I believe that they entered into a contract. And so now the work begins in earnest, looking at the actual deeper bones of the building and starting to come up with options in terms of a feasibility plan and what the different options are, from new building to just a remodel to some form of build some new building and remodel some building. And I think the interesting thing is going to be, as we look at how we can maybe do this in phases, it may help from our standpoint how you spread out the financing of it. You know, if you can do this in 3 or even 4, but probably 3 phases, you may be able to really kind of spread out the expenses and help with that. But it's going to be a hugely expensive project, and it's something that we have to start thinking about now, obviously, which we have been, but kind of educating people and planning on it. And it's time to do something, and we'll have some options there, and this is what it'll cost to do A, and this is what it'll cost to do B, and we have to figure it out.
Great, thanks, Doug.
John, if we're doing construction projects overviews, does Mike, our representative on the police
Yes,
station?
I'm sorry. And Mike is our representative on the police station.
You got less warning than I did. I got 30 seconds.
I apologize, Mike. Thank you, Roger.
No worries. Yeah, I saw this one coming. So the police building committee met a couple of weeks ago, and we went over the existing conditions report that the vendor put together, which basically kind of formalized a lot of the information we've heard between last year and this year on the conditions of the police station. I don't think anybody was, surprised at the results of the report. The conditions are pretty poor, as we've discussed. I think the general consensus, pretty much everybody that I've spoken to, is that people understand that the building is in bad condition. It's old. It was not the greatest fit to begin with, to have a police station in that old Union School building. Lots of issues with water and other things, safety, IT infrastructure, the roof, pretty much everything came back saying, yeah, this definitely needs to be replaced, and kind of the sooner the better. So we went through that, a readout of those reports, and just today we got a notice that the next meeting coming up will be March 7th, and there's some conceptual design information that was shared today in email that shows kind of a rendition of a version of potential look of the outside of the building, and then also just some very high-level design on the view going down of the interior of the building and how the space will be broken out. So we'll talk more about that next week. One thing that also came up in the last meeting was kind of the historical significance of that building, the Union School. It was called the Union School because prior to that building being put together, Burlington had just, 4 or so single-room school buildings, and I think we still have 3 of them in town. And this was a point in our town history where we said we want to move away from those single school buildings and bring it into a single school. So that's the Union School, kind of put together when you think about the name. I think when I drive through the center of town and you look, there's just a handful of buildings that have historical significance in our whole town, and some of them are in the center, like the Grandview Farm. There's another building over by the post office that's significant. There's the Union School, and then you gotta, we get the Francis Wyman House. There's not a lot, especially when you consider other towns, what they have compared to Burlington. So we talked a little bit about, is there some way to kind of preserve that historical aspect of the town center and the building. We know that the building itself is just no longer, it's not suitable for rehab. It would just be, too extensive to try to work within that structure in those confines. But, the thought maybe was, is there some way for the new design, the exterior design, to kind of reflect that building? So, that's something that hopefully we'll put as an option on the table to just visually keep that, that historical building still as part of our center. So that's kind of the update from that.
Okay. And in terms of funding so Fox Hill, I think the plan was September town meeting is when the debt would need to be approved for that, and the police station would be May town meeting. Is that?
I think that's the plan, right?
Yes, and just to be clear, it's two different type of feasibility studies. Because of the MSBA involvement, as you know, the Fox Hill is a $1.5 million feasibility study. Because there's no state involvement in this, for the school, we're required to bring it to a higher level of design before the state will jump in. This is more of a traditional, I think we have a $150,000 appropriation. So we're going to get cost estimates, we're going to get renderings, but it's not going to be designed to the level of the Fox Hill School by the time it goes to town meeting. We will know how much it's supposed to cost, we will know the square footage, we'll know that it fits on the site, et cetera, but we won't have plans and things of that nature to the level that we would have on a school project. So I just wanted to point that out. I think sometimes that gets lost in the shuffle. But this is like a more traditional feasibility study where we're trying to site it on the property, making sure the zoning works and things of that nature, as opposed to, measure out the classrooms, different things that anyone who's followed the MSBA meetings knows. They're getting down to a pretty detailed level on designing the school very early in the process. So.
Do we have any questions on any of these projects? No? Frank?
Mr. Chairman, I think we should add to this as well. This analysis that we're doing about debt and expenses and whatnot for the sort of the minimum of a 10-year window, it also includes a lot of work for the water system. Much of it's been done or in place, but there's still at least one more piece to go. So that's in there as well. There are a lot of infrastructure things that we're doing, medium and small, and if you look at the whole capital budget plan, it's getting filled in a lot better than it's been in the past, and there's a lot there. So I did want to mention the water system. We've done a lot of good work there. The majority of it, I guess, is funded at this point. There's still a couple of pretty good clicks to go, and they're in there.
Yep, we have one final phase on the WRA project, which is the big thing. That would be Phase 2B, and that would be to sort of complete the line from Adams Street, where the big pipe through Lexington ends, and extend that to approximately Burlington Mall Road. And that was the link that would allow us the capacity to take upwards of 6 million gallons a day from the pipe if we wanted to. So at present, we can take about 3 million gallons a day. So that was always part of the original plan as proposed by Mr. Sanchez several years ago, and that's the last phase. We're currently working with Brian to get the numbers reconciled. We may not need an additional appropriation vote. We may be able to just sort of reallocate the purpose of the existing one. We did receive, through the efforts of many, a lot of financial assistance with that project from the state, from the Norbloom Corporation. So we may not have to ask for any additional money other than what's been appropriated, but John and Brian are working on those numbers now. So it may be one of those warrant articles where we just have to have town meeting update the language to say Phase 2B as opposed to Phase 2A. So good news on that one.
Great. Okay, I think our final thing is the approval of minutes from our February 7th meeting. I didn't receive any edits on that, so I'm assuming people like them.
Yeah, that's good.
All right, excellent. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Thank you. All right, so this is for approving the February 7th minutes. Brad?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Frank?
Yes?
Steve?
Abstain.
Megan?
Yes.
Rob? Roger?
Yes.
Sonia?
Abstain.
Abstain, okay. And David?
Abstain.
Chair votes yes. That is 804. All right, our next meeting will be next Wednesday, and that will be true every Wednesday for a while now. We'll be covering the rec, Board of Health, Planning, and Library budgets. So everyone, please be prepared with those. And as I mentioned, we'll keep the debt project update as a standing item for whatever may come up there. All right, and do we have anything else for tonight? All right, I believe that's it.
Adjourned?
Yes, we are adjourned.
If we need such a thing?
We don't have to. It's on the agenda. All right, throw the switch.